Hello, and welcome to the channel. Today, we will be reading some stories from r/confessions, and our first story here is from Medium Rare Chicken 86. I got my coworker fired for making racist comments. For context, I, male 22, am a First Nations Canadian, or Native American for those who aren't familiar with the term, and I'm proud of it. Last year, I moved to an area with a less dense indigenous population in order to pursue my career into becoming a journeyman electrician, and within a month of being hired, the comments started by a man in his late 40s/early 50s, which sucks because he was someone I had gotten somewhat close to when I first started. Throughout the 4 months I had worked with him, here are just some of the things he has called or said to me regarding my cultural background. And I am not going to repeat the things that the coworker said to him because that would not be right. Basically, stereotypical nicknames and just a lot of making fun, all about stereotypes. Not very nice things to say. He said a couple more related to gambling and government handouts, but it was obvious this man was not educated in the slightest about Indigenous people. At first, I would just laugh it off, but these comments just kept coming and coming, and eventually I told him to stop, and each time he just said, "Oh, I'm just kidding around." I eventually got sick of hearing that every other day, and I went out and bought those sunglasses with the camera in them and recorded every second I was around him for a week and compiled every comment and racist remark and had a few minutes of footage ready to be shown to HR if he refused to stop saying stuff like that about me. Come Monday, and he does his little song and dance, and I tell him to stop and that I will not be asking him again, to which he just brushes it off. So, during our next break, I headed over to the management office and showed them the footage I'd collected, and, long story short, he didn't come back after lunch. He worked there for nearly 30 years and was supporting his entire family off this wage. Heavy emphasis on the past tense used in worked. And then the top comment here says, "Here's the thing. You didn't get him fired. His unbelievably racist and attacking behavior got him fired. You just happened to be his target. His own actions led to the result." And yeah, that's right. Hopefully he learned a lesson. Unfortunately, these kind of people, they don't learn lessons, they just get mad. And it's unfortunate, but very, very good that the OP now does not have to work with a guy who's acting like that. And of course, especially people that are older, they'll say things that they shouldn't. And sometimes they need to be educated and told, hey, you can't say that. That's not okay. I know you used to say that growing up. Your grandparents and parents said it, but it's not okay to say. And if they stop saying the offensive thing, okay, cool. Learning and growth. We love to see it. But no, this guy just loved poking. He was poking with these comments, and he just learned a very big lesson here today. Our next story is from Lunar Muppet. I deleted a year worth of custom automation scripts right before I quit my last job. I worked as a systems administrator for a small logistics company that treated the entire IT department like garbage. The owner was a classic micromanager who refused to upgrade our ancient servers but expected zero downtime. Over the course of a year, I manually wrote dozens of custom Python and Bash scripts that automated our entire inventory sync, database backups, and report generation. It basically turned a messy 4-hour daily routine into a seamless 10-minute background process. I never officially logged these scripts in our ancient documentation portal because my manager always took credit for my efficiency anyway. Oh, we hate that. We hate it when the higher ups take complete credit for everything their employees are doing. It's so awful. When I finally handed in my 2-week notice for a much better offer, the owner tried to stiff me on my remaining payout and refused to approve my accrued paid time off. He arrogantly told me that anyone could do my job and that I was completely replaceable. So That afternoon, I logged into our primary configuration server and completely wiped the hidden directory where all of my custom automation cron jobs were stored. I did not touch the production data or break any existing architecture. I just removed my own personal intellectual property that made the systems run smoothly. I have been gone for about 3 weeks now, and I just heard from a former colleague that the entire logistics team is in an absolute state of panic. The automated reports stopped generating, the database is throwing sync errors, and they are currently forced to manually copy and paste spreadsheet data line by line until midnight. They have no idea why the system is lagging, and my old manager is apparently catching total heat from the upper directors. I feel absolutely zero guilt about it. They wanted to treat me like a mindless machine, so now they get to see how much human labor it actually takes to run their broken company without my code. And then the top comment says, I love it, OP, but don't tell anyone what you did, because the part where it's yours is not quite true. And yeah, because he wrote these scripts on company time for the company's systems, technically, yeah, that would be deleting company property, so he could get in trouble for it, but it seems like they don't really know that that happened, so they're just all scrambling, trying to figure out how come one guy quitting is enough to take down the entire server. So I guess they just feel like they lost the best person at the company, you know? This guy is definitely playing with fire, but as long as no one finds out, he should be fine. But don't do this yourself, because you might not get away with it. You'll probably get caught. Even if it's something you made, if it's on company time, it's the company's property. So don't go deleting it. Our next story is from Mill010. I'm traumatized by blonde woman's hair. A woman that I was dating with blonde hair decided in the relationship that she was bored and needed attention from me since she likes cruelty sometimes. Huh? She told me that she was going to cut some of her head hair off and put it in my cereal for me to pretend to eat it in the morning for breakfast that I was having. I agreed and said yes to her, since I was curious as to what she was doing with her actions. Why would you say yes to this? Also, this is a very, very strange thing to say, just in general, from her. Everyone's just being so weird in this story. Anyway, the first couple of times I shrugged it off, thinking it was just a cruel joke from her. After the fourth time she did it, I felt sadness in myself, as I didn't know what to do or how to react to it since it was new to me. I started crying because I felt helpless, confused, and hopeless. She said I was reacting normally and would be there to help me in whatever I need. Her actions traumatized me. Whenever a blonde woman would be interested in me, I would feel grief and be sad around her. Eventually, I would admit to the new woman as to what happened in the past relationship that I had. The woman would sense something and pick it up using her intuition. As I have black hair myself, it is sometimes confusing and hard to explain to people as to what happened to me. I would ask the woman to grow other body hair to help me with my trauma. I am extremely confused. I'm going to quickly read it again and see if I can figure anything out. Okay, I think what they are trying to say is that his ex-girlfriend liked cruelty, or maybe her partner to do something mean or humiliating to her as something she was into. And I guess for her, it was cutting some of her hair off, putting it in his cereal so that he could pretend to eat it so that she could feel her feelings, I suppose. And eventually this guy just, I guess, finally saw the light and was like, yeah, no, this is weird and I'm not into this. I'm not okay with this. So I'm guessing that that's what he's meaning by this. And yeah, that is very weird. And I could see being traumatized every time you see blonde hair. But yeah, some of this is still a little confusing to me. And I can't make heads or tails on a lot of the things in this story, but I wanted to read it because it just seemed wild to me, like putting hair in someone's breakfast cereal as your thing and then traumatizing the guy. Crazy. And our last story is from Death Almighty 66. My doctor accidentally let out a secret pertaining to me that made me feel sick. When I was 7 years old, I had a liver transplant. Yes, it's a blessing that I'm alive and that I survived. I should be grateful, which I am. But then again, it's hard because of the possible reason which caused this in the first place. Now, the doctors could not explain what caused my liver to fail. When I underwent my biopsy, they said that it was disintegrating the second they took a piece of my liver. Now, fast forward to when I turned 17. It was my last year seeing my pediatrician at the hospital where I was operated on, since the following year, I'd become an adult. Okay, I don't think English is this person's first language, and that's okay, but I'm going to basically summarize what they say for this paragraph because I can't really speak it out and have it make a lot of sense. The OP says that it has been years and they are talking with the doctor, and the doctor's letting them know what medications are safe with their liver, and unfortunately lets it slip the reason why the liver issue happened. And unfortunately, it's because of bad relationship between the parents, and this will make sense in a moment. When I left the appointment to meet up with my mom, she was in the waiting room and she was asking me what's wrong because she said I looked white as a ghost. I said nothing. I was just tired and hungry since I couldn't eat before my blood work. I went to message my cousin through Facebook and ask her if it was true what relationship my parents had. She told me yes, they were cousins. Oh dear. I felt disgusted and ashamed. My self-esteem was already low, but the self-hatred for myself sank even lower. I've only told 2 close people, who I'm no longer friends with, by the way, and they said it's not a big deal and that I'm overreacting. Am I? A secret of your parents almost causing your death because of what they did, and you have a constant reminder of it with a huge scar on your stomach? It's not as much a huge burden as it was to me in the past, but it still bothers me, and it's probably why I can never fully accept myself or feel good about myself. My mom doesn't know that I know, and I don't talk to my father because I loathe him. I always thought about confronting my mom about it, but I also just don't want to hear more about it because it disgusts me. I just wanted to confess this to a bunch of strangers, and I guess a way to journal with having someone to listen to my feelings. And then the top comment says, that's a terrible way to find out. I'm really sorry, OP. I recommend telling your mom. Letting things like that fester is not good for your mental health. And since you asked your cousin about it, it's probably going to get around in your family really quick that you found out. You're not overreacting to the fact that you're just finding out about this, and not from your mom, but I would not worry about the close relationship between your parents. Up until the early 20th century, it was quite common and often encouraged for first cousins to marry. It really became a problem when families did it over and over again. See the hemophilia problem that popped up in the European royal families because of this as just one example. In fact, marrying your first cousin is still fully legal in 16 states and legal with some restrictions in 4 others, which is crazy, by the way. So you should be fine. Just don't marry anyone you're related to, of course. And in fairness, the doctor does not know that your parents' blood relationship caused your liver problem. She said that's a possible factor that they can think of, but it doesn't mean that's 100% what caused that. A lot of times these things are just rotten luck. There are many children of first cousins who are healthy. Like I said, it's really only a problem if families continue to intermarry. So really what this is the OP just needs therapy, and they need to get stuff off their chest. They need to process things. Most likely, their liver thing was probably not because of this, unless, of course, the family has been intermingling much before that, which, I don't know, could be possible. But yeah, I just hope that this person gets the help that they need and is able to get things off their chest and heal and process, and I hope their self-esteem gets better, and I hope they're doing better today. And all right, you've made it to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed hearing me read these stories. And stay tuned because guess what? I'm going to be doing this again because that's how YouTube channels work. Anyway, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hit the dislike button twice if you really didn't like it, and I will see you in the next video.